هل هذا سوف يعرفنا على قصة مارش 7 الحقيقية؟ لأن لا نعرف عليه أي شيء.
Ever since we've been able to get our hands on Honkai Star, there have been many characters that we've questioned the true nature of. March 7th being the main one, as she's quite literally the face of the game. And while March is clouded about her past as well due to her amnesia, I thought we might as well try and figure out why she was found frozen in ice, floating in space, and add on one more backstory for her, since she's already created 67 options already.
صنعت 67 option من
energetic and charismatic girl with mysterious ice powers that is boarded upon the Express along with Welt, Danhung, Himiko, and the MC. She has a primarily pink, blue, and white color scheme that matches the playfulness and joy that
ولا
she
أحد
brings
يهتم
along our
بشكلها.
journey.
أوكي
She also
هي
has
أحسن
some
من بايمون
interesting things to
كثير.
note on her attire, like this sigil that resembles a sort of shield or flower, along with a Polaroid camera. As mentioned before, March has amnesia and has no clue of her past, so she likes to take pictures of special and memorable moments. That way, in case she were to lose her memories again, she wouldn't lose those special moments she's had with the Express.
شو فهمتوا الفكرة؟ هذه قصة مارش اللي شرحتها من قبل، أنها لا تتذكر من هي، وجدوها في الثلج الأسترال إكسبريس، ودائما تحب تصور بالكاميرا لأنه لو فقدت ذاكرتها مرة أخرى على الأقل تلقى هذه الصور.
We first meet March 7th on the Herta space station, where she introduces herself and then quickly mentions the aforementioned Express members. Once we actually join the Express, we begin to learn a little bit more about March, from not only the other Express members, but also from March herself. This is where we learn that March was found floating in space, encased in a block of 6-phased ice.
Okay.
What's 6-phased ice? Glad you asked, because we still don't know.
Yep.
However, we do learn a little information on it from Welt, as he mentions it's a special type of ice that cannot be found on your average planet.
يعني هي كانت موجودة في ثلج مش عادي. مش عارف لا نعلم أي شيء عنه.
It follows the laws and rules of the imaginary and cannot be tampered or changed in any way. Think of the imaginary as a sort of unseeable energy wave that can be used as a power source. Despite the fact that Welt said it can't be tampered with, March says that she was unfrozen by Welt, Himiko, and the other on the train. The other is not in reference to Danhung or the MC, but rather another individual that decided to leave the Express long before the MC.
يعني كان هناك شخص عثروا عليه مع مارش وكان موجود مع الإكسبريس لكنه خرج. What؟ الله أو ممكن يكون مات. أنا لم أكن أعلم، لم أركز في هذا الأمر في القصة. يلا نشوف.
Joined. Himiko has a different POV of this story, however, as Himiko mentions that not long after Welt pulled her into the Express, the ice melted all on its own, freeing March 7th from her frozen tomb. So, why did the ice unfreeze? Well, there's a couple options that I can see being plausible here. The first being that since it follows the laws of the imaginary, once the ice came into contact with the Express, which follows the path of an aeon, and paths use imaginary power as its power source, it caused the ice to melt. And for those that don't know what aeons or paths are, here's a quick recap of what we know. For now, we can only describe paths as a sort of philosophical concept. The paths themselves are a part of the imaginary elements. The aeons are free to use their paths' energy however they please, but they are also bound by it. Or in simpler terms, aeons are pretty much gods and they have specific powers that they have to abide by. As for the second option, what if a third party froze March and is keeping a close eye on her and unfroze her when she reached a desired location? That third party being Fuli, the aeon over the path of remembrance. Fuli records all that has been forgotten and prepares for the rebirth of the universe. They collect the memories of fallen worlds to eventually bring them back. We'll touch back up on this in a little.
يعني فولي قد يكون الشخص اللي تسبب انه ما اسمه هي مارش 7 تخرج من الفريز.
Once March is unfrozen and the crew quickly realizes that she has amnesia, March decides to name herself after the day that she was unfrozen. And so, the identity of March 7th was born. March rides along the Express and hopes to one day uncover the truth of her past and find her homeworld. We then make our jump to Jarilo-VI, which is an ice-covered planet. And we begin to see March have a much more melancholy vibe, as she ponders if it's possible this could be her homeworld. She then quickly puts up her happy-go-lucky face and we begin our adventure on Jarilo-VI. Once on the planet, March mentions that her ice powers are actually 6-phased ice. This is a huge factor, as I was originally under the impression that potentially March could have been in a very dangerous situation and her fight or flight kicked in, choosing the flight option and forced herself to entomb inside the 6-phase ice for safety.
يعني ممكن هي حمت نفسها وجمدت نفسها. يا مارش عادي تكون شخصية قوية كما قلتم. يعني لحظة هي أيضا بتصير 5 star. Nice.
What if there's more to it than that? Let's take a closer look at March's design again. Remember this sigil I mentioned earlier? It actually bears a striking resemblance to another item in-game, the Oniric Shard. This is the shard that's used for summoning characters from the gacha, but not only does it look like March's sigil, but also correlates to the exact same color scheme as March. Pink, blue, and white.
Okay.
The definition of Oniric is relating to dreams or dreaming, and when we take a look at the description of the shard, it mentions the following. Lights, flickering in a sea of stars, stirring the dream of a Leviathan. The past turns into candles that light the darkness ahead. Okay, let's break this statement up into 3 sections to more easily digest their connections in a more structured form. We'll start with the first part of the phrase. Lights flickering in a sea of stars. At face value, this may not seem like it has any connection to March at all, but if we take a look at her character trailer, we see a moment where March gets a dream or vision and sees, yep, flickering lights in a sea of stars, before seeing herself frozen in ice as it zooms out to another crystal, which a bright light then shines behind it, and if we look close at this crystal, there is something inside. I decided to take this over to Photoshop to mess with the brightness and color correction to get a better and clearer look at what's inside, and this is the best I could do. I know, it's not much better, but what if what's inside this crystal is the remains of a Leviathan? That would allow it to connect to the first part of our phrase as well as the second part, stirring a dream of a Leviathan. Leviathans were very powerful beings that existed before the creation of aeons and are all believed to have perished, except
الليفايثنز هم مثل كما هو يشرح الآن، هم ناس كانوا موجودين قبل الايونز، كانوا بتكلم عنهم ويلت من قبل. هذه تكلمت عنه أتوقع في الحلقة الأولى والثانية أنا أتوقع.
However, just because the Leviathans are gone does not mean we can't utilize some part of the power they once had. As we know, a faction known as the Antimatter Legion, which follows the Aeon Nanook over the path of the destruction, they have been able to revive a large war machine using the remains of a Leviathan. We'll come back to this later though, because if we take a look at the crystal itself, it yet again heavily resembles a crystal in a light cone called the Texture of Memories, which depicts a tree inside the crystal with shards and colors floating around it. This light cone in gameplay allows you to gain shields similar to March, and the description of the light cone goes as follows. The universe was like a badland, filled with rubbish. There were the occasional treasure that lies undiscovered. They looked through the cracks of the past, choosing seeds of memory. If a new life were to be born, its seed has to be dead. Precious stones of pink, blue, and white were brought forth, twinkling gently in their seed plot, even though the universe held on to its enigmatic silence. There are those colors again, pink, blue, and white.
يا جماعة في شيء.
The part of the description that reads, they look through the cracks of the past, choosing seeds of memory. If a new life were to be born, its seed has to be dead, seems to be in reference to the Aeon Fuli, the remembrance, which we mentioned before. Fuli collects the memories of fallen worlds.
يا جماعة شفتوا هذا الإيون؟ هذا بيكون من أهم الإيونز الموجودين في اللعبة كلها. دائما تخيل أنا وأنا أشرح في القصة دائما أقول لكم فولي فولي فولي، وهذا شوف حتى في مارش طلع عنده علاقة بفولي. يا جماعة هذا شكله ممكن خطير وممكن في نفس الوقت من الناس التي ستساعدنا جدا.
Worlds to eventually bring them back. In other words, the world's seed must be dead for a new life to be born. Now, we did actually get a look at Fuli through the simulated universe, and if we take a look at the art, we can see very similar light smudges.
اوكي هم عندما يكتبون في الترجمة ألقينا نظرة على الفن يقصدون فولي. لا أعرف لما يقولون الفن في الترجمة لكن المهم.
Those found underneath the crystal in the light cone. When we first meet Fuli in the simulator, it mentions how they appear to be made of mirrors, and a flickering light gives us a vision or a dream. But vanity, March doesn't use mirrors, she uses ice. You're right, but ice can be used as a mirror, and is even used as such in her character trailer, where March touches her own reflection on the ice and gains the memory of her being frozen. But there's a better connection to ice than that. Do you know what powers Fuli gives us in the simulated universe? Ice. All of Fuli's buffs are...
Wait, لحظة. يا جماعة مستوعبين انه مارش لها علاقة مع فولي؟ وات؟ لا هذا شيء قوي جدا، يعني اي دان هانج واي قوة ما مارش 7 تقفل ملف دان هانج اعتقد.
related to freezing the enemies and keeping them frozen. This is how March could have gotten her rare 6-phased ice powers. Oh, and would you look at that? The symbol for the blessings are candles. Candles that light the darkness ahead. Which completes our trio of the original statement. Okay. So, I've given you the examples of how March could connect to Fuli, but what use would Fuli have with March?
بالضبط ما الفائدة من أن عندها connection مع
I
فولي.
freeze her and send her out in space with no memories. Well, let's go over what one of Fuli's followers says. The messenger is a follower of Fuli that we first meet on the Express and appears to the
المسجنجر هذه تتبع فولي.
MC and the MC only. They have the ability to take memories and only be visible to those they wish to be seen by. And when we ask her what the purpose of collecting these memories is, they respond by saying, with many worlds that crumble to Nanook's influence, it's unacceptable to allow the memories of civilizations to simply vanish.
Okay.
So they collect fragments of memories that will shape a blueprint of rebirth for everything that has disappeared. Also, a quick side note, the crystals in the Forgotten Hall given to us by this messenger also resemble the crystal that was in March's trailer.
Yup, نفس الكريستالز.
Okay, let's try and tie this all together. So, what if Fuli created or used March as a drone to collect information and memories of planets to help achieve their goal?
اوكي النظرية رهيبة جدا. يعني للي لم يفهم خليني افسر بشكل سريع. لو انه مارش عندها علاقة بفولي اللي هو يمكن أن يتحكم بالذكريات وهذه الأمور، مارش قد تكون تذهب إلى النيمليس وتذهب إلى هناك لكي تفهم كل شيء يحصل في العالم وتجمع ذكريات الناس يعني بكل ما تفعله هي، وهذا يخلي فولي يمكن أن يحقق إعادة بناء اليونيفرس أو الشيء الذي يريد أن يفعله.
While having one of her followers keep a close eye on her to unfreeze her
ودائما يكون أحد الفولورز قريبين منها
when she's arrived,
okay.
giving her a free ticket to travel world to world, experiencing cultures, races, and collecting memories. Well, that about sums up everything we found for this theory. The only unanswered question is why this could be a Leviathan in March's trailer, and the only thing I could link it to is that Fuli
هي بداية هذه الثيوري من هذا الأمر.
may need the power of the Leviathan to properly use the memories to recreate worlds after their destruction, and could be trying to awaken it by stirring with its memories. But since we still have limited information on this beta, we'll still have to wait for the full launch to get some real answers. In fact, we could have also included that Eileen from the Reburn 2 trailer
الفيديو قبل ما تنزل اللعبة
to get some real answers. In fact, we could have also included that Eileen from the Reburn 2 trailer contacted and spoke to Carol through dreams directly, and she looks very much like March 7th.
Yep.
But I'm almost 100% sure that this trailer is not canon, just like Reburn 1. And Eileen was either scrapped or repurposed into the March we know and love. Remember lads, this is just a theory, not fact. This was made for fun, even though some of it was a
واللي تبدو جدا جيدة.
And fun fact, this was actually the first theory of the Community Theory of the Month series, where we have people pitch ideas in our Discord and then we vote on a final idea to turn into a full-blown theory video for that month.
والله فكرة حلوة يا جماعة، انك تعمل سيرفر ديسكورد الناس تحط الثيوريز او نظرياتها وبعدها تعمل عليها فيديو. يلا كل واحد يدخل ديسكورد راح نعمل شباب اللي في اليوتيوب ادخلوا سيرفر الديسكورد في الديسكريبشن.
So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you'd like your name to be listed on the screen with the rest of those that pitched in, be sure to join our Discord for when we vote on our next theory and discuss connections.
حطوا لايك اوكي حطوا لايك حطوا اي شيء كل شيء حطوه. لا بصراحة اعجبتني جدا النظرية. لا الفكرة الان انه هذا ما نريده، نريد مارش 7th لأنها تكون يعني بهذه الأهمية بصراحة.